So I got a job at a Big Four bank at 18 while I was still studying in university. Here's how I did it. First of all, I had to put away all my preconceived ideas and beliefs that I had. What does that mean? For some reason, I've always had the impression that to even start the application process at such a prestigious place like a Big Four bank, you have to have solid relevant experience, lots of internships, a degree, a super high GPA, and insert any other ridiculous achievement. Those things are all good to have, don't get me wrong, but that's simply not true. During my first year at uni, this is the narrow view that I had until a friend of mine applied and she actually ended up getting a job at one of these banks. And I was basically shocked. How is this possible? We're both basically doing the same degree, we're both first years, so how did she do it? And then I realized I'm the only one who's created these self-imposed barriers, these limiting beliefs, not anyone else. If you look at the job listings for entry-level jobs, stuff like call center work, back office admin, and people who work in the branch, there is no mention of a degree or extensive experience. Seriously, have a look at this. So this is a job ad for CBA, customer banking specialist at Rhodes branch. You're basically working at the branch as a teller, I believe. You're reporting to the branch manager. And if you look at the requirements, they don't actually look too hard, right? So you've got stuff like build personal connections, meaningful conversations. This is all very basic stuff. Working with customers, help them to use technology, digital banking, answer customers' needs in branch, financial health checks, proactively call customers, and it's all very basic stuff. You don't actually need any sort of extensive finance experience or any sort of degree to do this job. The second example is from Westpac Group. This is the customer relations consultant at BT Financial, which is the wealth management arm of Westpac. This is a call center job. Once again, if we scroll down, we can see you've got to answer inbound calls and answer emails confidently and adapt to each situation, provide customer service, service existing holders, take ownership, adhere to daily schedule. Like, this is all very basic stuff. You can see it's very entry level, and this is the type of stuff that I wasn't looking into. In my mind, I had that I have to get a degree and like that's it. If I don't have a degree, I can't apply to roles like this. But clearly I was completely wrong. So back in uni, after seeing this, I got super motivated and I started to apply. And that's where the long grind begins. So when you apply to jobs like this, you should be doing so with the expectation of hearing nothing back in return for at least the first 20 of your applications. Trust me. Obviously put time into it, make the application as best as possible, but don't expect to hear anything back for the first 20 applications. Chances are you'll probably hear back much before then, but you do have to have the mental mindset of dealing with rejection. For super long drawn out emails like this, only to say you were unsuccessful. In this second example, as you can see, I literally got this email almost a week before Christmas and in the morning as well. So basically my whole day was off to a crappy start. My whole day was essentially ruined, but you just got to power on. Trust me, it's tough. I get it, but you just have to get through it. These banks literally get thousands and thousands of applications, especially for entry-level roles. So of course they have to have multiple steps in the process, and it's going to be very tough, especially at the beginning. They have the brand and the power to attract a lot of people at the start. So of course you shouldn't have extremely high expectations, especially at the beginning, I'm sorry to say. You also want to make sure you have an updated resume for each job. As an example, a resume for a back office job is going to be quite different to a job which is front office, where you're dealing with customers either in person at the branch or over the phone in the call center. If you're applying for a back office job, you want to prioritize stuff like analytical skills, and with the front office, it's going to be dealing with difficult customers or dealing with difficult situations. You want to make your resume as relevant as possible to the job. Do not be lazy when it comes to this sort of step. And a quick hot tip, always use a PDF. Do not use a Word document for your resume. You want to make sure you also add all the relevant experience when it comes to the job, stuff like extracurricular activities in school or university, part-time or casual work that you do right now, and how the skills from those jobs transfer over to the job that you're applying for. This is very important. To give you guys some context, I used to work at McDonald's before I got my banking job. And obviously with fast food, you're going to be doing physical work, you're going to be walking around, lifting things and making things. So it may be hard to initially relate that to an office job, but the examples that I used were stuff like working under pressure, multitasking. These are all skills that I learned from a Macca's job that I related to the office job and linked them through. If you try hard enough, you can definitely find links. Make sure to emphasize those. So after all that applying, you'll eventually hear back from them, and this is how the process goes. Initially, they might send a few emails to you for you to complete an online assessment. This will be stuff like psychometric tests, numerical tests, abstract reasoning with the patterns and whatnot, comprehension tests, and personality assessments as well. It's a lot, but this is the process, unfortunately, especially for entry-level roles. Honestly speaking though, they weren't really that hard to do. When you're doing them though, you just need a lot of focus and a lot of thinking space. So obviously make sure to do it in a very quiet space. You can do free practice questions online. they will give you an idea of what to expect. But the thing with these types of tests is the fact that you can't really memorize these. Once you get through this, you will be met with the phone interview. They'll ask you stuff like behavioral questions about your understanding of the job itself, so make sure you're prepared. Once you pass that, you'll be facing the video interview or the self-paced video interview. So in my experience, I did one where there's a timer on the screen and they show you a question and you have to basically speak and answer the question while you're on video, and the actual video gets submitted as the answer. There's nobody on the other side. It's not like a live interview or anything like that. It's just a recording of yourself that you speak about that gets submitted, and then of course a human reviews it later on. It's a bit weird at first, but it is what it is. Once you get through this, you have the final boss, which is the face-to-face interview or the assessment center. This is like the grand finale of this whole circus, and you have to be at your best. So far, I've been to a few assessment centers, and in my experience, they take a few hours and they get you to do a whole bunch of things. So they got me and the other applicants to do a one-on-one interview, a presentation, a group debate, and a group exercise where, like, literally, I shit you not, like, literally, they have a pen and this notebook right here, and they're walking around the table and they're assessing you on how you're reacting, how you're answering the questions, if you're contributing enough, if you're contributing too much, as if you're some sort of a lab rat, as if it's some sort of an experiment. It feels so dehumanizing because they're basically doing this and they're looking at you, right? They're looking at you and they're doing this. And it's just so weird, right? It's such a weird thing to do, right? And who cares? Like, I was 18 at the time and I wanted the job, so I'll do anything it takes to get the Big Four bank on my resume. But I look back at it now and it's just so weird, like this whole circus that they make you do. But as a fresh graduate or as a person in university or just finishing up high school, I think it's definitely worth it to get that Big Four on your resume. So basically, these assessment centers are trying to assess you on a holistic basis, on a one-on-one basis, on a personal level, and also on a group level and in a team setting to see how you react and how you perform. In these centers, what I've noticed is that the people there are from very diverse backgrounds. A lot of people are from science backgrounds, engineering backgrounds as well, not necessarily finance, and the age difference is there as well. Some people there were literally 18, 19. There was a girl who literally finished high school and she was in the same room as us, and there were people who were, in their 30s, 40s, mostly in that sort of Gen Z, millennial, and the younger crowd, but the experience level and the actual background of these people was very diverse. When you finally have the one-on-one interview, this is where you'll make the most impact. In my opinion, if you don't do as well in the presentations or the group debates or the group exercises, this is your time to redeem yourself and to really shine and to really prove yourself that you can make it. One thing you really want to practice is answering behavioral questions. The hiring manager will ask you questions that start with something like, tell me about a time when this happened. What do you do when this situation occurs? Give me an example when this happens. So for example, tell me about a time where you handled multiple priorities at once. When dealing with difficult customers, how did you handle it and what was the outcome? Tell me about a time when you dealt with a stressful situation. What is your greatest weakness, and stuff like that. These are all common questions and you want to answer them using the STAR method, which stands for situation, task, action, and result. When you first ask the question, don't just jump into what you did and what the result was. You have to define what the situation was and you have to really set the tone first. And then the task, what is the exact goal you're trying to accomplish? And then talk about what you did. What did you do? What was your specific contribution? What steps did you take? And then you have the result, which is what you ended up with, what your specific actions led to. You want to make sure that you form a story that has a really good payoff at the end. Obviously, make sure that the story is legit, but you want to make sure that the outcome is really good, which shows what your specific actions led to. And this could be a good outcome for your customers, for your team, for your company overall, even for your community as well. You want to make sure that for all those common behavioral questions, you have an answer ready that follows the STAR method. These entry-level roles won't be the most exciting thing, but they do give you the much needed exposure and the opportunities for progression in the future. They often have high turnover because of people that are leaving or people that have gotten promotions and stuff like that, but generally speaking, young people don't really want to stick around in these types of roles for too long. I'd suggest you learn as much as possible, try to experience all the different aspects of the role, find out what you like, and then move towards that. Usually managers that I've had in roles like these are quite keen on helping you to progress because even they understand that you're not going to stick around there forever. And always prioritize your learning. If you enjoyed this video, let me know what other content on careers you want to see or you don't want to see. Either way, I would love to hear it. And thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye now. Usually managers that I've had in roles like this